Hello, seventh grade scholars. Welcome to this review of our poetry for term 4 final assessment. The final assessment is coming up this Wednesday and Thursday, and we will review poems for you to be ready. We've covered all of the poems in depth, so really your notes should cover you. However, some of you might not have your notes. It might be in your locker at school. So I've created this spreadsheet for you. This is available. It should be attached below, and it is also on my website. You just go to Term 4 Poems, and it will be in here under the title of Poetry Review, Term 4. I have all of the poems that will be on the final in the multiple choice section, as well as the short answer. So I've given you some hints here. You have a link on each one, and you can go to the link, and then it will take you to the poem that is on my website, which is just my Google Drive. I have them all opened here across the top to make it easy for me to do a quick review for you. So you can take this spreadsheet and review anything that we've talked about in this video. So let's start off with The Cremation of Sam McGee. The Cremation of Sam McGee is written by Robert Service, and it's a narrative poem. Over here in Literary Devices, you'll see I have the title, the author, the first line of the poem, the theme, point of view, and literary devices. So it's a narrative poem. You'll find alliteration, rhyme scheme, and internal rhyme. It's a narrative poem because it's telling a story. It tells a story about this friendship and the commitment, even though the speaker of the poem feels like, I can't believe I have to do this thing, and it's just really weighing on me. He's committed to this friend and makes this thing happen, and that's cremating him. So the theme would be commitment to friendship will push people to do things they didn't expect or they could or would do. A little correction there. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who toil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. And then we go through, we find all kinds of internal rhyme and this beautiful rhyme scheme, code, load, ring, thing, AABB rhyme scheme. You could read that over for a review. It's a narrative poem by Robert Service. Next poem, Auld Lang Syne by Robert Burns. Remember, Robert Burns sometimes goes by Robbie Burns because he's Scottish. And it starts out, should auld acquaintance be forgot? Don't forget the past. Let's not forget the history that we've had and the good times that we've had. There's rhyme scheme, and there's the theme of friendship and remembering history. So if we take a quick look at Auld Lang Syne, we've got Robert Burns. It's in Scottish brogue version right here. And then over here to the right, we have it in English. So remember, this is turned into a song. So should auld acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should auld acquaintance be forgot and auld lang syne? So if you're familiar with that tune, people sing that around New Year's Eve, saying, don't forget everything in the past. Let's enjoy that too, and let's celebrate friendship and things that have gone by. So take a look at here in the green highlight, Auld Lang Syne means time gone by, or old long since, or old time's sake. You'll want to know all three of those for a definition of what Auld Lang Syne means. Scottish brogue, written by Robert Burns. Auld Lang Syne. Let's go back to our poetry review. You'll notice that I'm skipping point of view. Well, they're all in first person except for two of them. So all of the poems are in first person. You'll notice the pronouns we and I for most of these poems. The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes. Starts out, I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. And then he goes into all kinds of symbolism with the different rivers and allusion to this the rivers and Abe Lincoln, things that he expects the reader to know. It's by Langston Hughes, and the theme is basically, let's go back here, pride. It's pride in one's own heritage, and it's important for confidence and courage, and especially during dark times and difficult times, and prejudice, especially for what Langston Hughes was trying to say during his time period. So you're going to see symbol, you're going to see simile. Let's go back here and take a look at the simile. Where was that main simile? Oh, my soul has grown deep like the rivers. So over here, the blue, like the rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Again, in first person. Moving on to another Langston Hughes poem, Life is Fine. Life is fine, fine as wine. So it starts off, I went down to the river. I sat down on the bank. And we know that in this poem, it starts off, yeah, that's right. It starts off sounding kind of happy. I'm just going to go down the river and sit down. But then he talks about wanting to end his life. And then also regretting that and seeing there are good things about life. And I don't want to be on that side. I wanted to keep going. Life is pretty good, actually. So it ends up being pretty positive, even though it has a little bit of a dark message at the beginning. So sometimes life is difficult. Here's our theme, but nothing is worth taking your own life. First person, you'll notice rhyme scheme in that it's a free verse poem. Same with The Negro Speaks of Rivers. This is also a free verse poem. Heritage by Countee Cullen. This one will be linked to a PDF where I won't have very many markings, but you might have this still. In most of our classes, I think first and second period, we might not have done this as much. We went to the second stanza of Heritage and looked at all of the alliteration. So I lie, who all day long want no sound except the song. So sound, song, sung. Going along with that, by wild barbaric birds, B, there's our alliteration there. Goading massive jungle herds, juggernauts of flesh that pass. Trampling tall, defiant grass, so trampling tall. So you'll notice all kinds of alliteration in here. I think one of our classes, maybe 8th period, ended up with 16, 17, 18, 19, something like that. Examples of alliteration in this second stanza. So here's another one, dear, distress. You guys are going to be noticing more as you look at this poem right now. Too bad we're not together and I can have you point them out. You'll also notice the rhyme scheme. What is Africa to me? Copper sun or scarlet sea. So me and C highlighted here tell us what the rhyme scheme is. A, B, B. So this tells us what the rhyme scheme is. Another thing that you might want to note here, remember when we talk about Eden? Sometimes it might just be a girl's name, but typically in poetry, and especially for 7th grade, as we've been learning, Eden refers to the Garden of Eden. So when the birds of Eden sang is an allusion. So it's referring to something outside of the text that the speaker expects us to know. And we should know that Eden means the Garden of Eden, referring to the beginning of time. So when the birds of Eden sang was way from the beginning. So Countee Cullen has this pride in his heritage. Going to our theme here, where are we? Having pride in one's ancestry can directly affects self-esteem. Having pride in, lots of typos, you guys. Thanks for being patient with me. Having pride in one's ancestry can directly affect one's self-esteem. We'll fix it that way. So heritage, he has pride in his heritage and where he's come from, saying also that his people have been around since the beginning of time, beginning of humanity, connecting us all as humans. So there's allusion, which is the Garden of Eden. So Eden, when the birds of Eden sang, alliteration, dear distress, trampling tall. There's the rhyme scheme, the AA, noticing the last word on each line tells us what the rhyme scheme is, and the rhyme and personification. You can look through and take note of some of those.